Hey, good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. Welcome to 7 a.m. Today, January, what is it, 11th, 2021. And I hope you all had a great weekend. We had a good weekend. It was sort of like we just worked this weekend. We're working on some stuff, planning some things. So the weekend was sort of almost like during the week, except Pamela didn't teach. She's a teacher, so she does virtual teaching, which is always an interesting thing. I hear my wife almost every day say in Spanish to put a period at the end of the sentence. Now she doesn't speak Spanish, but she's learning because she's having to learn for virtual to try to communicate to parents and all that. So I hear un punto, al fin, un punto, pon un punto. It's pretty funny. Um, but our weekend was really good. We did a lot of stuff, very productive, and some enhancement, which is what we're going to talk about today. This is something that's always been interesting because um, coming from a family, I think graduating from high school or getting a high school diploma was like a big thing growing up in my neighborhood. Like if you got out of high school, that was like you were on your way, because it was just the dropout rate was just. I mean, I'm a high school dropout, right? And I'm not ashamed now to say, and I did go back and I got what they call the GED thing, right? And I did go to college for a few years until I realized college wasn't for me, except for a writing class that I took. That was probably the best class I've ever taken on in college. But when you're involved in this type of an environment, and hey, good morning, Mary. Welcome. It's early morning. Wow, it's 6 a.m. Where you is. That's early. That's early, girl. But welcome. So I'm talking about personal enhancement this morning, and talking about growing up in the Bronx, where education was not necessarily a huge uh, important thing. It wasn't even that it was important, but the schools were just so bad. As a matter of fact, the school that I went to, the high school that I went to, was actually shut down by Giuliani, by the actual city, because it was so bad. There was so much violence and there was so much horrible things going on, and I saw a tremendous amount of violence going there. Um, so unfortunately, that happened. But there's been this interesting um, thing that's happened throughout the last, at least I would say maybe 20 years, where education was always put as the most important thing that anyone can do. Getting an education and going to college, and what was happening, or what is happening, is a lot of trade jobs, were going down. And these are really good jobs. I mean, people who are electricians and plumbers, you know, air conditioning and refrigeration, those type of jobs, they make a tremendous amount of money. That's number one, first of all. But for some reason, you can come out of high school and go into a trade school for a year, I think, maybe even less, and then get a job with a company that the school itself has a relationship with, where you'll do like an apprentice type, where you get paid, but you do an apprentice type job, learn the business, and then be able to do to get a job, and or even stay with the company and just get paid more during that specific trial period, internship, you can call it, but it is paid. All these things are paid. When you get out of a trade school and you go work for an industry, you get paid. So but something's been happening where that's sort of like reversing again. It's sort of going back to like trade, and people are realizing that not everyone has to go to college, right? Not everyone has to uh, I mean, I think everyone should finish high school. um, at least, learn how to read well, learn how to write, learn how, history is not really taught anymore, or the history that that's in the books is not really the history that I learned. They're changing history, as we all know, right? I just grab a book from 1960 and grab a history book, a current history book, and you'll be able to tell. Yeah, apprenticeship, exactly. To when you're an apprentice, you're working with someone who's been doing it a long time. That's how life was back, well, over 100 years ago, before the school system came into this country. Was we had you found out what you wanted to do, and then you found out that either Uncle Roy or Mr. Barley from across the street did that job that you want to do. And you go over there and you say, "Hi, I would like to learn how to do this. Can," and then you work that out, and you get in a you do an apprentice. You become an apprentice to someone that's already doing it. So, but it's been shifting around. It's been shifting back a little bit, and I think people are starting to kind of go back to realizing that college is not for everyone. College is an option. It's just another option, because there are so many other opportunities right now, especially with the internet growing as fast as it's grown in the last 20 years, with more opportunities on the internet, with online positions. And during last year's um, virus and quarantine, a lot of businesses were working from home and realized, we can do that. As a matter of fact, I heard one business from a person that I know, tell me that their their company did better last year financially and productively because they were all home working. It's weird, and you're like, well, home? Well, yeah, you took out a lot of the stresses that have to go with work, which is really just getting up early, driving or taking public transportation to get there, and all the different uh, things that come with commu- commuting to a position, right? Um, then getting home late, starting, if you have a family, starting dinner, and so all those things were taken out, and now you're home and you're still accountable, right? People are still saying, you're doing the Zoom calls, everybody can see you, you're there, you're having meetings, you have to get certain projects done, and you have time to get it done. And hopefully, I know certain situations are different, but if you're able to actually be there and really put in a good day's work, and without too much stress from the family or the environment that you're in, the company did better last year because people were working and people were doing their were a lot of the stress was taken out. So because of that, people are realizing there's much more opportunities right now in the world with the internet, and with not having to go to college. Now, of course, there are some people, some educated people, educated in books, educated in schools. I'm talking about. I don't mean educated like they know a lot of worldly stuff. A lot of very very educated people who only push education, who have masters and doctorates, and I mean, my wife has a master's degree, so it's not like I'm against it. But some people that have that, only that as the most important thing, are not intelligent in the ways of really realizing that not college is not for everyone, and having an open mind to really see that. They don't have that ability because they don't teach that in school, right? They don't teach, like, entrepreneurship is not taught in schools, right? It's probably even talked down about, because it's really difficult. School teaches you how to become a worker, not how to become a leader or an entrepreneur. And not to say that in the last 10 years that's changed a lot. There are people that come out of college and start businesses, um, but the amount, the reason that that's happened is because of online, um, what do you call it? People that motivate, what do you call those, influencers, right? I hate that word, but those um, gurus that are on online and always encouraging people, start your own business, and positive stuff, not in, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying those guys have really influenced a lot of people to go out after college and start businesses, or at, at least have the idea that you can do something like that, right? I'm talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm talking about Grant Cardone. I'm talking about Brandon Burchard, Dean Graciosi. All these guys who have started businesses, who struggled, who've worked for other people, who some of them have college, some of them don't have college. Um, all these kind of things have influenced a lot of people to really go out and do that in college. So it's not everyone, but there is a shift happening. So today's talk, and I know I kind of veered a little bit, but I wanted to go into that conversation because it goes into learning, and learning is really what I wanted to talk about. It's about um, personal enhancement and being able to on a daily basis, learn something, right? Sometimes people that have spent a lot of money going to college, they get a degree, a piece of paper that says you've learned, so they go and they've learned. So now there's a sense of accomplishment, which they should be. There is an accomplishment there, but there's also a sense of like I know more than certain people, right? I know more than, and that becomes where the education then becomes a little bit of a problem. So personal enhancement is really, what are you doing every single day to get to move the needle forward positively in the direction of your goals. That's personal enhancement. And for me, it's my religion. I study, my church. We have classes. Right now, we're doing online, not online. We're doing what's called extension courses, which are basically courses you do at home, and we just send the lessons in, and they get graded by our supervisors at the church, and they help us out if we miss something or we maybe don't duplicate something fully. They help us out with that, and I've been doing that all last year. We did a bunch of courses online, and I'm in the middle of one right now, and my wife is doing one as well. Those are how um, that's our personal enhancement that we do. But on top of that, I also spend a lot of time on YouTube learning about, either music, things like music theory, which has been something that I've always kind of like never really. I just wanted to play, and I taught myself how to play rather than go into theory. But right now, think I'm old enough and disciplined enough in my technique that I don't that's not going to sway me how I write or how I work. But I want to work on theory. I do stuff on editing, film editing. I research. So all these things are personal enhancement towards your goal, you know. And that's my question to everyone. What are you doing every single day? And it could be anything, right? And let me just show which the one. We have a Mary here says, yeah, her sister works from home. Cool. Some of the smartest people I know didn't go to college. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, there's a big thing where, Bill Gates left college, Steve Jobs. There's just a ton of people that didn't go to college or left college. Life is learning experience all in its own. Every day that goes by, I learn something new. That's the key thing, is learning something every single day. And that's really important. So the one I had set up for today was this one, which take time every day to do some personal enhancement. It can be a new course, read a book on your art or life, a seminar, learn something new every day, which Mary just stated. Um, and that's the message for today is, what are you doing today to move the needle forward in the direction of your goals? you know because we can sit back and say, man, I couldn't do anything today. Well, that's not true. You could have done something, maybe not you wanted to do. Maybe you had to go out and get some, if you're a photographer, you wanted to get some photos out, or maybe you wanted to get, if you're a filmmaker, you wanted to get some shots, and it snowed or it rained. But there was something that you could have done indoors to keep going forward, whether it's studying something or, and it's just about learning. It's like we're the most arrogant man in the world is the one that thinks he knows everything, right? I mean, that is a guy who really is pretty much lonely in his views because nobody really looks at him for advice. Nobody comes, he goes, hey, you're the smartest person in the world. Can I ask you a question? Or you think you're the smartest person in the world? Can you help me with this? It's not those. It's the ones that go through things that have overcome obstacles. They're the ones that people ask for help, and because they're the ones that have that knowledge, and especially if they've taken that experience, whatever they've gone through, and they've applied a philosophy, a religion, a technology that enhances them daily. That becomes really their education, and that education is really valuable to somebody who's struggling. You can't really help someone unless you went to school for a philosophy and you studied a lot of the great philosophers. You might have a little bit more experience in that, but a lot of the stuff that you're learning in school is really not to go help somebody else. Even in psychology, it doesn't really give you those tools per how much failure psychology has failed us in the last 80 years. In the schools, the psychologists are the guidance counselors, right? They go to school, they learn all about psychology. They're doing a really tough job, and they're doing a great job. But they're not learning the technology that's really needed to really help. Even the word psychology, I'm not going to go into this whole thing. I'll talk about that if anybody's interested on that. But even the word psychology, the word psych stands is actually means spirit, psyche, right? Psych, and ology is the study of. So psychology talks about the study of the spirit. So within their own word itself is incorrect. So they don't even have the right word. So when you go to school and you learn, that's like the one thing that people say, well, you can go out and help somebody. That in itself is incorrect. So what did you do outside of school? What are you doing right now currently that's helping you in that direction? Staying positive and doing my ultimate best to be the best person I can be to everyone. That's what Mary says. Thank you, Mary. That's right. That's right. And in order to be better serve, to serve humanity, um, it's our responsibility to find some type of philosophy or religion. Uh, it could be anything. It can be yoga. It can be whatever it is that gives you serenity in your life and really makes you feel like you're accomplishing your goals, whether it's your physical health and you want to get better, and you become a trainer. So now you're helping other people. So now you have this knowledge and you're studying all the time about health and wellness. Um, so that today is really the message that I wanted to convey, and to let you know that there are so many things that you can go out and there's so many people that need help. Even just a simple conversation sometimes can go a long way. um you know to try to really help someone find their direction. And if we spoke about asking for help a couple of days or last week sometime. um and if you need to ask someone for help, you can always ask me. Obviously, you can send me a message. And for me, it's all about scheduling a time to have a conversation because my days are so crazy. And because I have my son that I watch during the day, and he's a energy, and that to me is it takes up a lot of my day. But messaging me, you can always send me an email. I think I put my email here, didn't I? This is my new email, John Henry Soto at protonmail.com. You can send me a message there and say you want to have a chat, and I'm more than happy to schedule a time for you. Usually it'll be at night, but if that works for you, let's do it. All right. So let's see. Mary has another comment here. I have ran across psychologists that are the world's biggest dummies. Well, I mean, yeah. Or just a simple hug. or a word of encouragement goes a long way. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Just be there for each other. I guess really, it's a key thing. Um, not to knock all psychologists. I'm sure a lot of them got into the business to help people. That's why they're there, um, and to study. You know, I think when you have a textbook and you're saying you're a textbook case of a certain thing, you lose you as an individual. We're all different people. One book cannot really tell you exactly what you are. Only you can, and you can by looking inward and finding who you are and being able to take that and build on it by more education on who you are and spiritual journey that we're all on, and whether you believe spirituality or not, whatever you believe in, just looking in, you find your own thing. No one can tell you who you are but you can say who you are. You know who you are. You know yourself better than anybody. You know if you're really disciplined or if you're just lying to yourself about being disciplined. If you're really have good intentions, or if you're not, or if you're faking good intentions for others, right? You know those things, right? And um, a book is not going to tell you, if you're a textbook case of this, that's not really going to change any of those things, because that's internal, that's you. So, all right, folks. Well, I want to thank you all for tuning in. It is Monday. I'm usually a little sluggish on Mondays with my words. I try to be as clear as possible. I wanted to take this challenge on of doing a morning show, because I've been doing the evening shows with the JHS show, and that was a challenge, because it's after the show and before the show. There's a lot of stuff to go on, and then the day is done, and this is actually more starting the day, and the day goes really well after I do this show, and it's been getting little growth here and there. So if you enjoy what I'm saying, please share it. It is 7 a.m. This is called 7 a.m. It's the only name I could come up with. But yes, and it's of course Monday through Fridays at 7 a.m. I will be here to impart. This week we're going to be going over the 10 actions that I wrote in 2013, that I pretty much lived my life on. And today we did number 6. So tomorrow will be number 7. And number 7 is find a solid platform that works for you. So this is a little bit about what we spoke about today. But the difference is that today we were talking about find some personal enhancement, take time every day to find personal enhancement, to put the time in. And tomorrow's is more about what you're actually doing. What are the actual steps that you're taking to actually do that personal enhancement and that philosophy. What is that philosophy? What are those things that you're working on? And that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. And I'll break it down a little bit more in detail tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll be it'll be Tuesday, so I'll be used to being up. Usually Tuesday to Friday, I'm actually good. Mondays, I'm a little bit sluggish. But all right, folks, thank you very much. Anybody who's out there on the podcast world, thank you very much for listening. And anybody who's out there in the world, Mary, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And so Mary's been up all night. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, please get some rest, and I wish you well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Make it a great day. Do things that you love. Help others, and love yourself. Take care. And as always,